Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us tonight on The Good, the Bad, and the Scandalous on the Cosmic Council Radio Network here on Blog Talk Radio. I am April, a.k.a. Pisces Moon Goddess, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Apollonia, a.k.a. the Astrology Lady. Are you there, App?
I am here. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yay! So, tonight, wow, the intro song. It's by Kendrick Lamar, who is a Gemini man. His sun sign is Gemini. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight is the good, the bad, and the scandalous of dating a Gemini man. So whether that is, a man who has the sun in Gemini, they were born in May or June, maybe their moon sign is Gemini. They have other personal planets in Gemini, which are Mercury, Venus, or Mars. They could have their rising sign is Gemini. Maybe they have a stellium of planets in the third house of their chart. If you know a little bit more about astrology, you'll know what that means. So, we're talking about all of them, or maybe even Mercury in the first house. Mercury conjunct the moon. I mean, there's a lot of little technical things we can use to explain the Gemini qualities and traits, but they all equal to, the archetype of Gemini representing that. So that's what we're getting into tonight. Before we get further into the show, and I know this show is going to get pretty juicy, we've had some people waiting for this show. Like, can you please do Gemini? It's been highly requested. One of our council members, one of our council members, Gemini Brown. I'm having a Gemini moment. One of our council members, Gemini Brown, he's a phenomenal astrologer, a really cool, laid-back dude. His name is Gemini Brown because his sun sign is Gemini, and he always says Gemini is the most hated sign. If you look at the memes that people share on social media, there's always ones talking, like, trashing Gemini, right? And Geminis are very good with humor, so you guys can, take it pretty much and not get butthurt. I think maybe that's why they float around so much, too. But we will dive into all of that stuff, the good and the bad of Gemini. So before we get to that, we're going to read our mission statement for the Cosmic Council. Let me go ahead and I'll read our mission statement this time around. So the Cosmic Council is dedicated to the teachings of astrological, metaphysical, esoteric, and spiritual knowledge. The members of this council pride themselves on keeping an open-minded approach while spreading love, light, and wisdom in the name of Aquarian unity. We are a group of diverse astrologers, intuitives, metaphysicians, and passionate affiliates. We all come with a broad voice that we are eager to share with the world from a creative, fun, rich, and powerful perspective. Of course, we all have our own flair, spin, and unique way of expressing ourselves creatively. Our goal is to speak to those who are rarely spoken to or for, say the things that are rarely stated, uncover the things that are usually hidden, and to bring light. We feel that it is our responsibility as light bearers to provide counsel, insight, and foresight to those who are seeking to know thyself. Like air, we hover over the situation with you to assist you in viewing the bigger picture. Like earth, we help you dissect the most needed pieces of the puzzle and create practical action steps in order to help you build. Like water, we cleanse, we heal, we quench your thirst. We seek to explore every emotion with you by getting to the root. Like fire, we ignite you by motivating you to take actionable steps for the greater good. We take our duties as a council seriously and stand by them diligently. Yes. So, Apollonia, did you have any opening words besides hello to say?
No, I'm trying to think. Well, literally, I've been, racking my brain trying to think about the good segment of Gemini. But
oh no.
I stand by the mission statement, as you guys know, and we are still seeking affiliates. If you are passionate about a particular topic or subject or thing, or if you already have a radio show or podcast or a segment that you would like to bring over to the Cosmic Council Radio Network, just hit us up via email, questions@thecosmiccouncil.com. Again, our website should be live sometime early April. And thanks for tuning in and continuing to listen and support this network. And, I think that's everything. Before we dive in.
Cool. I just wanted to get anything else out before we start diving in. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into the good traits of the Gemini man. And then if we have time, we'll take an intermission, a musical break intermission. And then we'll get into the bad and the scandalous. And we will be taking calls the last part of the show. This is a 90-minute show. So we will try to take calls the last 30 minutes or so. We'll see how we do on time because there's just so much to say about Gemini, so much. They are the sign of communication.
Is it safe to say we've both had, well, I've never had a long-term relationship with a Gemini, but I've dated literally 2 or 3, no more than 3. But you've had long-term relationships with Geminis, correct?
Okay, so I'm in a long-term partnership with a Gemini moon man, and I did ask him, do you want to tune in or call into the show? And, of course, he had some goofy stuff to say, just like a Gemini. I don't need to know. I already know about my Gemini moon because you tell me all the time. And I'm like, okay, all right, never mind. So goofy, but and then I have dated somebody that has their sun in the 3rd house, and then I've dated somebody who I highly intuitively suspect as being a Gemini rising. Everything about his being was, and his behavior was Gemini.
Wow.
And I was in a long-term relationship with him, yeah. I guess I can say that. And then I was in some short-term ones that they fizzled out very quickly because I couldn't. But we'll get into that later. Into the bad and the scandalous. I have some stories. I guess we can get started on the good traits of Gemini men because there are some people there are. Well, first of all, the sign of Gemini, it's ruled by Mercury. It has a duality because one of the symbols, it looks like a Roman numeral 2. So there are 2 sides to Gemini. And that's what helps them to be able to assess situations and things from kind of an emotionally detached point of view. And so because of that duality as well, they can be kind of temperamental, like Kendrick Lamar said in the opening song, amongst all the F-bombs. He said, yes. I will flip on you. I'll flip on you like a dirty ghetto mattress or something like that, right? Like, because I'm a Gemini. Yeah, they will. They will flip back and forth between different feelings, thoughts, and what have you. But yeah, they're ruled by Mercury, the messenger. They are here to deliver messages. A lot of them are very good at that. Very good at being like commentators, newscasters, sportscasters, good at being like talk show hosts. A lot of rappers are Geminis. A lot of the greatest are Geminis because of their ability to kind of just, they're wordsmiths. I mean, they can come up with words for anything at any moment, like very quickly. They're quick-witted people. There's ways that they can use it for good and for bad. But let's get into the good. So actually dating a Gemini man, I would say the good part is, and of course, I do have to give the disclaimer that a lot of the good and bad that we get into, a lot of it does kind of depend on your chart, your dating preferences, and how your energy matches up with these signs. Some people may find some of the traits that we say, oh yeah, these are good. They might be like, oh, I hate that about Gemini, So it's all a matter of perception a lot of times, and energy. Energy doesn't lie, and like I said, it can clash with yours, or it can mesh well with yours. So with that being said, Gemini is a sign that's very youthful. Gemini men tend to be very youthful, age pretty well. They tend to be usually very young looking or young acting for their age. And if you like a youthful man who's very playful, funny, witty, always cracking jokes, then you will enjoy the company of a Gemini man. They're very diverse and versatile in their interests. Their interests can flip around and change a lot. One day they may like something, the next day they may be like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do something else. But if you like variety in relationships, a Gemini man is the way to go, because they're flexible, they're adaptable. They value being flexible and adaptable. And say like you want to try something new, you want to go on a date, and you're like, I've never been to a cigar bar before. And a Gemini man would be like, let's try it. Let's go. I've never been there either. Let's go. Or a lot of Gemini men, I've noticed when you're dating them, they know a lot of these like odd little spots and things to hang out with, and they know the menu pretty well at places. They will say, well, if you like this, this, and that, like here, you'll like this. Like, I went out with a Gemini one time, and I'm kind of fixed in my ways, but part of me is adventurous. And I went to this restaurant with them, and they were like, I was like, hey, I'm not a drinker, but they're like, okay, but you like, stuff that tastes good, this fruity. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay, here, try this drink, this beer. It's like a fruity type of beer. And I was like, what? At first I turned my nose up at it, but they're like, no, if you like fruity drinks, try it. So I tried it, and it was actually good. So Gemini men can show you different things that you've never even thought before, that you've never done before. So that's a really good trait about them. Very diverse and versatile. If you like doing stuff that is childlike and fun, like I do, I tend to attract Geminis big time. I have Mercury, the ruling planet of Gemini, in my house of relationships. So I attract a lot of youthful men, Gemini men. I'm attracted to going out on dates and doing stuff like roller skating and indoor rock climbing and bowling and games and arcades and all that stuff. I still love those types of things. And Geminis are usually, unless they have a heavy dose of some other more mature sign, Gemini alone is okay with doing stuff like that. They like that fun, that youthful. They're all about entertainment, and they usually have a really great sense of humor. They're quick-witted humor, so they're good with the comeback. So if you have a sense of humor and you are talking to a Gemini and you crack a little joke, they will have a comeback like that. And they tend to appreciate comedy, so, you guys can go out to comedy shows and have a blast, because they have a sense of humor. I love that about Gemini men. What else is good about them? Let's see. Funny, witty, playful, youthful. You know what? They are so knowledgeable about many different things that they can teach you a lot of things. Like a Gemini man, you can kind of take them around a group of friends. Like if you go out and you meet up with a group of friends, they've never met your friends before. They will fit in like a chameleon and just start talking to people and find a common interest because they know so many different things about different topics and subjects and interests that they can just blend in. Talk to this guy over here about sports, and then go and talk to like your homegirl over here. She's interested in, I don't know, like cars or something. He'll know about cars. Go introduce him to another friend, and they're into something, and he'll know a little something about that and be able to contribute. So you could pretty much take them anywhere and around any of your friends. So, if you are into an open and friendly person that's not just going to stand there all jealous, mean-mugging all your friends and who's that fool to your male friends, a Gemini guy is really good for you to bring them around people, and your family too. You know, they can do the same thing. Hi, how you doing, ma'am? To your mom. Oh, they are such charmers. They are charmers. They're really charming with the words. We'll get into more of that in the scandalous part. But yeah, Apollonia, do you have any other suggestions of the good traits of Gemini men?
Well, the good things I would have to say about them, they can be really good conversationalists if they are secure in their intellect. A Gemini man has to be very secure when it comes to his mental and his intellect in order for him to have really good conversations with you. But if you begin talking to him on a topic that he's knowledgeable about, he will talk about that shit for hours, and, you know, he will know all the little nuances about it and all that stuff. So the Gemini guys that I have dated, one was very intelligent. He was a May Gemini, so I assume that he has some planets in Taurus now looking back. But very intelligent guy, just mentally aroused me. Like, he was one of the smartest guys I ever met that I felt at that particular time. So really good conversationalists. They can be very silly and playful and like to laugh a lot. So that I like about them also. Gemini men are rarely quick to jealousy, so they don't feel intimidated if you have male friends or if you are talking about past relationships and stuff like that. Like, just a side note, I noticed that when dealing with a man that has a lot of Cancer energy or Scorpio energy, they can get jealous if you talk about previous relationships, or if you're just, you know, having a regular adult conversation and you're explaining a life experience to them. They'll get really jealous or butthurt about that. You don't really experience that with a Gemini man. They're able to hover over a situation and really just take a backseat perspective, like, oh, I see what you're saying. I can understand that. So logic trumps their emotion, and I like that about Gemini guys. Those are the main things that I can remember that I enjoyed when it came to dealing with a Gemini guy.
Yeah, those are really, really good points. Very good points.
Yeah.
Yeah, great conversationalist. A lot of women say that they hardly are ever bored with a Gemini man. If you're somebody who gets bored easily, or you are very fixed to yourself, or, you know, like very, you know, you like variety and adventure, and you want somebody to bring it out of you because you don't really have that much of it within your own personality, you will be entertained greatly by a Gemini man.
Yeah.
They won't leave you bored and hanging, you know, sitting there like a bump on a log. They have you know, a short attention spans, which, you know, can be good or bad. But, you know, the short attention span thing, it keeps things fresh. They like to keep things fresh and new and ever-changing in relationships. So if that's something you can handle, then you know, you will have good luck probably dating Geminis, because, like I said, they don't like to be bored. If the relationship seems a little stagnant and they are into commitment and working on their existing relationship, they will find ways to spice things up, to, you know, keep that spark going, to keep you guys' interest in each other going, you know. So they're always willing to bring something new into the relationship. Let's, you know, like I said before, let's try this, let's try that, you know. Yeah, so different. They like to try new things, so it's really a good trait there.
Yeah, I agree. Now, my sister, she attracts Gemini guys, and she said that something that she liked about Gemini men was that she met a lot of mutual friends through the Gemini guys that she would date, because they would always have so many different types of people around them. So she said that she would always meet really cool people through her Gemini mate. And my sister's a Libra, so she would always mention how her and her Gemini guy can go out and have a good time, and it would be no drama. Like, it wouldn't be any issues when she would go and hang out with her Gemini guy, like go to the club and they could part ways and go dance and have fun with different people and then meet back up at the end of the night, or if they wanted to chill together at the club. But she was saying when she's dated other guys, example, Taurus or Aries men or Virgo men, it's like they want to cling to you all night and, oh, I want to leave because this guy is looking at you, and no, don't let him buy you any drinks. She said that Gemini men are just out to have a good time with you. It's like, it's no jealousy, it's no bullshit, it's no drama. It's like, hey, let's go out and have a good time together. We came together, we leave together. That's it. But she said whenever she would date other zodiac signs, it would always be drama at the end of the night, and they would end up going home, and now everybody's pissed off and has an attitude.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Gemini men, they tend to be the ones that will, if you're a woman or, man who dates men, who likes to go out to the bar and just casually meet people, just like a floating butterfly, float here, talk to this person, float there, talk to this person, no strings attached. Usually the Gemini men are the ones that will be at the bar buying people drinks, whether you're male or female, and just, this is a common term I always hear my Gemini friends say, oh, I'm just shooting the shit, That's a Gemini term for just saying they are just BSing around, like, everything that comes out of their mouth is just air. It doesn't mean anything. They just want to have a conversation with a person just for the sake of having a conversation, just for the sake of entertainment and fun. And, so Gemini guys will be at the bar just buying drinks, talking to people, conversing. They won't expect anything from you, like Apollonia said, unless they're a Gemini that has a lot of Cancer or Taurus or Scorpio or something else in their chart that trumps over the Gemini energy. If they have a lot of the Gemini energy, they will not expect anything from you. Even if you guys exchange numbers when you're out, a lot of times the Gemini guy, they might just do that just because in the moment. Let's exchange numbers. I'll call you. I'll give you a call. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We'll go out to lunch or something. And you never hear from them because at that moment it was just fun. It was just fun to talk. And so if you are a no-strings-attached person when you go out, you just want to meet people and leave it at the bar, club, the whatever place you're at, Gemini men are usually very lighthearted, very, very light and friendly, and just keep things moving. They won't cling to you and, oh, my God, I thought you were going to call. Let me call your phone right now. Make sure you gave me the right number. Like, they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Unless they just want to joke and be stupid, but they're not going to be seriously like, well, you said you'd call. But no, they're not going to cling. They're going to float away like a butterfly. So that's a fun trait about them. Yeah.
And I don't know if we mentioned to the audience out there, this could be, but maybe April did mention it, this could be a man with a Gemini sun, a Gemini moon, a Gemini rising, or he could have a stellium of planets in Gemini, a stellium meaning 3 or more planets in the sign of Gemini, or he could have a stellium in the 3rd house. It doesn't have to technically be the sign of Gemini, but if he has a stellium of planets in the 3rd house, all of that energy condensed could give a Gemini-esque flavor. So be sure you check your man's natal chart when, investigating his Gemini traits.
Yeah, and I have also noticed that people who have Mercury in the first house of their chart, they tend to give off a Gemini vibe too, and they talk like Geminis. They talk fast. Yeah, they use their hands when they talk, and they really give off that Gemini vibe too. So it is all about checking the chart. If this sounds like anybody and you're like, but they weren't born in May or June, like you need to check their whole chart.
Yeah. He could have some Gemini qualities going on, and you didn't even know.
Yeah. Actually, I think that was the case in a relationship that I had a long time ago. I was very young. Actually, he had a stellium of planets in another sign that I'm not going to, he had a stellium of planets in another sign. See, we had this crazy relationship to where I'm even afraid, oh my God, is he listening right now? Like, I don't want to talk about anything that'll give him away, like who he is. Yeah, it was that crazy nutcase relationship. He had a stellium of, he had a whole bunch of planets in another sign. He was not born in May or June, but he had all these Gemini-esque qualities about him. So I really feel that he was a Gemini, maybe rising, probably Gemini rising or something. But yeah, he was a lot of the things I mentioned. He was charming. He was fun, witty, funny, goofy, could talk to anybody, get along with anybody. But I think there were other energies in his chart that made him a lot more jealous, to where I really couldn't do anything. I couldn't be as free-floating butterfly as he was, because then he would suspect there was something going on. So, yeah, it all depends. But, yeah, he was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Like, we would be fighting one minute, and the next minute he'd be like, hey, let's go hang out at, like, the mountain and chill and talk and this and that. And I'd be like, really? How can you? I'm a Taurus. I hold a grudge, And so I'd be like, really? Like, we're mad at each other right now. Like, how can you want to just hang out? No, let's just go hang out. Then we go hang out, laugh, forget about everything, forget about all the problems. We fought one time, really horrible fight. I'll have to tell you the whole story off the air, because it was insane. Like, people almost dying and stuff. It was crazy. We got into this crazy fight on the way, like, somewhere out of town. And then we got to our destination and had the best time, like, so much fun. We did all the stuff I had never done before. I had never gone on a jet ski. Like, I did all this stuff. He showed me all these fun things. It was so much fun. That's how insane, like, Gemini relationships can be. Like, they don't want to dwell. They will bounce away. Like, if you have a problem, there's an argument, whatever, then a minute later they'll be like, hey, let's go. And you're like, what the hell? You really do have two sides to you. You must really be Jekyll and Hyde, because I'm still mad. Like, so they don't dwell on stuff a lot.
That is a common theme for Gemini men, that they they have severe volcanic explosions with their spouse, and then in the next couple of hours they're like back best friends with their spouses. I've seen it numerous times with friends that have been in long-term relationships with Geminis, and I'm like, damn, do y'all just, that must be a part of y'all foreplay, to have these volcanic ass eruptions, and then y'all must have the best makeup sex ever or some shit. Like, that's how it looks to me, being an outsider looking in, because I'm like, wow, that shit y'all just went through, I would have been done. I would have, like, left and never talked to that person again, but you guys make up like your besties all over again. So, yeah, that is the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing that Geminis have popping off.
I really wish I could tell the whole entire story of that on the air. It is really crazy. Like, maybe another time for another show, because we got to move along. So we were covering the good. You know, Mercury is actually the ruling planet of Gemini, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Mercury retrograde, and it's actually beginning now. It's going in its shadow period and starting to move backwards, and when that happens, communication and your technology can be a little out of whack. People can be forgetful, misunderstand things, and what have you. So, yeah, if you're dating a Gemini currently during Mercury retrograde, it's going to be a little hard, but you may have to have a little more patience with them because they may be extra forgetful and doing some really backwards brain things to where you're like, what the? And like sometimes they may even talk and you're like, what are you talking about? Like my Gemini moon husband, oh my God, Mercury retrograde, it's like he skips words when he talks. And then I just look at him like squinting, like, I just don't understand. Like, what are you saying? Yeah, so, and he gets flustered.
I have a Gemini moon brother and same exact thing. He
like
can't talk.
Circuits happen in the brain, like.
He can't even talk when it's not Mercury retrograde, and then he just goes,
Lord.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Or yeah. You feel me? And I'm like, no, I really don't. You know that song by The Roots when they're like, don't say nothing? That's my brother. That whole gibberish part, that's my brother. And I'm like, he always says that he wish if he could have one power, it would be to pass his thoughts on to someone else so he wouldn't have to verbalize anything. That's the one superpower that he would like. And he's a Gemini moon.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me that a Gemini moon really not wanting to, and his moon is probably afflicted, I'm sure, but he would rather just be able to morph his thoughts onto you so that he wouldn't have to verbalize them.
That's pretty interesting.
I guess that would just be the easiest thing to do. So a lot of Gemini moons that are probably intellectually insecure probably have that feeling often.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's like their brain is like, you know, a computer that has like 50 tabs open at one time, just trying to compute all of that and go back and forth, and then they're just like, and some of them can actually manage all of that stuff, all those thoughts and everything. Some of them can, and even like not just thoughts in the head, but you know the new slang term, the thought. You know what I'm saying? They can manage a lot of those, but we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, my Gemini moon hubby, like a lot of times he, you know, because Geminis will quickly come up with something to say, like even when they're at a loss for words, they will find a word to fill in the blank, you know, and he says the thing. That's what he says, the thing. He's like, yeah, and the thing, and I'm like, what is the thing? Everything is the thing. Like, you know, the thing. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Mercury retrograde right now. I can't, Gemini moon, I just can't. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we have about an hour left, so if you want to start jumping into the bad and scandalous, I think we've covered enough tread on the traits that we could find on you Gemini fellas out there.
Yeah. Okay, we can get into the bad and the scandalous. Ooh, I know a lot of people have been waiting for this. Okay. So, where do I begin? With Gemini being a sign of duality, they are notoriously known, infamously known for being one of the top signs that are complained about as not being able to commit and, you know, being prone to infidelity. Because, where do I start? Okay, so, you know, Gemini, they do get bored easily, okay? They're like the toddler of the zodiac, curious toddler. They're a very curious sign. They get curious about people, especially if it's like, you know, say this Gemini man, whether he dates men or women, whatever. You know, he's with somebody for a minute. They kept his interest, you know, for a minute. Now he's getting bored. If he's not mature and not into commitment and, like I mentioned earlier, spicing things up in his existing relationship, he will look elsewhere for entertainment to satisfy his boredom, to satisfy his curiosity. I've had Gemini friends who, you know, even if someone is married, it's like, oh, well, I've never been with a married woman before. Let me try this out, you know. Oh, I never been with this nationality woman. Let me try this out. You know, they'll try anything. And sometimes it's like when their life seems to be going too steady, too stagnant, they need variety. They need back and forth and over here and over there and all this stuff. That's unfortunately one of the reasons why they are so infamously known for being one of the top cheating signs. I really don't know any official statistics per se. I'm just going off of my own statistics I've gathered from other people over the years and in studying astrology and observing people. So, yeah, you know, they can get bored. And they are good talkers. Unfortunately, their ability for having the gift of gab can turn into them being swindlers and master manipulators. Especially if it's a Gemini and they were born with, like, say they have the sun in Gemini, but they have other planets in the sign of Cancer or Pisces, you know, one of the water signs where they can kind of, you know, twist your head around with words, play mind games. But then, you know, if you try to call them out on their BS, they'll tap into that Cancer or Pisces, that sensitive watery energy, and then turn it around on you and make you feel sorry for them and feel bad for even, quote unquote, accusing them. How dare you accuse them of something when all along their swindling, conniving asses have been, like, just really playing you, you know. Unfortunately, I've been through that in my Gemini relationships. It's like things were always flipped and turned around on me, you know. Like, I would catch something, and I'm very intuitive. And, in fact, in one relationship that's extremely crazy when I had, I tend to receive messages through dreams. And a lot of times they're very clear. Sometimes they're vague, and there's things that symbolize. But I always get messages that I need to know, especially within relationships. So, you know, in all my relationships, it's been the same scenario. But this one particular one, I had a dream specifically about the guy driving my car and having another female in my car. And this was a repeated dream. I had it a couple nights, you know, not in a row, but like very close together in time. And I would ask him about it. I'm like, I had a dream you had somebody in my car. Of course he would laugh. Girl, you're crazy. I've never seen that. Like, what's wrong with you? Why would you blame me for that? Well, guess what I discovered? I had, like, you know, certain things in my car because it was my car. Then I started noticing that those things were ending up in the trunk or on the floor of the back seat. Anything that would distinctively be able to tell that it was my car and that I was the parent. You know, I had my baby's shoes, like, in the rearview mirror and stuff. Those were taken down and thrown, and I asked him about it. Like, wait a second, why are my son's shoes not in my rearview? Why are they on the floor back here? Oh, you see, what had happened was some story. I came to a stop, right, and they, like, flew off, and then I just totally forgot. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And then, of course, that got flipped around on me. How dare you accuse me? Well, it turned out he was having chicks in my car. At least one. He had chicks in my car. What was another thing? Oh, my God. They just can tend to lose track of, because Gemini is such the talker, a lot of their words are just like detached from emotion, just hot air in the moment, that they can lose track of things they said, and therefore they lie. But they can be such great talkers that they can talk their way out of the lie accusation. Unfortunately, there was another, hold up, I got to tell you guys about this incident, okay, before I pass the mic. The same said presumed Gemini energy guy, right? So he came home he went to a strip club, which I am, as a Scorpio, I am completely opposed to, okay? But a Gemini man, oh, just a bunch of boobs and butts. Who cares, girl? I don't think anything about them. It's just flying in front of my face. Like, no, I don't care, you know. So he went to the strip club with his friends, supposedly to talk business, right? They always got some business on the side, something they're doing on the side, right? So some sort of hustle. So he was talking business with these people at a strip club. He comes home. I check his wallet. There's a phone number in it. I confront him on it. Oh, you see, what had happened was I went with my homeboy, right? We were at the bar, and, like, I had my wallet open paying for something, which this ninja is lying because he didn't have no money. He was stealing, like, from me and my kid. It's just insane. He had no money.
My
so I'm like,
God.
why was your wallet open? You never have money. Oh, but you see, I was paying for something, right? My wallet was open. She, like, meant to give it to my homeboy and, like, dropped it in my wallet.
Gemini, stay with these elaborate fucking stories.
I can't tell it with a straight face, man. This is all real. Like, it fell in his wallet, right? And I said, okay, if that's true. I snatched up that number, I crumpled it up, and I threw it. You don't need this hoe's number, right? Guess what I found in this wallet again the next day? That crumpled up phone number. Back in his wallet. And I'm like, dude, why? If this isn't, well, you see, I'm trying to give it back to my homeboy, but I haven't seen him yet. I'm like, okay, whatever. So guess what I did? Some more Scorpio ninja tactics. I typed that number in my phone, and I saved it in a secret spot. And then I called it when he wasn't home, and it was a stripper. And I'm like, so, like, she beat it around the bush. I'm like, where do you work? Oh, I'm a dancer. I work at a club. I'm like, you mean you're a stripper? Yeah. And I asked her, honestly, tell me, did this dude ask you for your number? Did you talk? She's like, yeah, he asked for my number, and it was kind of mutual of us talking. It wasn't me that initiated. It was like both of us talking. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I confronted him on it. He still denied it. And as a matter of fact, this chick's name, one day we were chilling, just in our zone, and he said, hey, I want us to have a daughter, and if we have a daughter, let's name her such and such. And I'm like, why that name? He's like, I just think it's a pretty name. Guess what this chick's name was, or her stripper name? It was that name. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy is really insane.
Wow.
Like, he just talks and twists things around. Like, Gemini mind tricks are real. Like, when they're on the dark side of Gemini, they are so real. It's insane. So, yeah, that's only one of many, many, like, crazy Gemini experiences I've had that is so scandalous. I mean, big time scandal. Like, and once again, since I have the way in my Kevin Hart voice, you see the way my chart is set up, I attract Geminis, like, a lot. Like, Gemini is my 8th house. The 8th house is, like, magnetic attraction and love-hate. So I absolutely love, like, witty, fun, funny, intelligent, playful, youthful. I love that, those qualities. But the lying, the two-faced, I never said that because you said it and it didn't mean anything, and now 5 minutes later you change your mind. Yeah, like that type of thing, the wishy-washy back and forth is not my thing. Like some other, like air sign, like Libra paired with a Gemini, you guys maybe be able to do that to each other because those two signs are not very emotionally deep to be able to take words and really take them for what they are, and a Libra may be able to take a Gemini's words and be like, okay, yeah, just on the surface, and then go skip off and do something else and totally forget about them, but Geminis tend to forget that words, people do forget them. I used to make fun of some of my Geminis and say, look, when you talk, like, those words don't just float off and disappear forever. Like, they stick in people's brains. You need to remember that. So a lot of Gemini men can be flaky, like hella flaky, like I said, oh yeah, I got you, yeah, we'll do lunch, yeah, I'll call you, and then they never call. And then you're like, what happened? Oh, but you see, I was so busy, you know what I'm saying? I had this going on. Oh, man. It's like they always have something going on. They're always, like, hyping themselves up to be something that they're totally not. What else is bad and scandalous about Gemini? Oh, man, I should have wrote down a list. I was just like, I'm just going to freestyle because there is, like, so much that I already experienced. Yeah, so wishy-washy, a lot of them can't keep their word. So, you know, if you, like I said, if you stick to words, you can't always believe a Gemini. Two-faced, the two-faced thing. I've noticed that with Gemini, even the men. Men will say, oh, I'm not into gossip, but yet Gemini men will go on World Star Hip Hop and, like, you know, stupid sites like that and, like, watch the latest, like, stupid guy gossip stuff, you know. What else? Sorry. And yeah, even the guys, they'll talk about, man, I don't like this dude. Oh, he's this and that. Then as soon as you see him, hey, what's up, man? What's up? Yeah, you know what? We can hang out. You know what I'm saying? Here, let me buy you a drink. Like, and I'm like, wait, I thought you didn't like this guy. Like, I don't understand. And then when we leave, it's like, oh man, F that fool. He's you know, this, that, and the other. Like, why would you hang out with him and buy him a beer? Why would you invite him over if you were just talking crap about him the other day? Like, I don't get it. So the Gemini men, yeah, they can do that stuff too. The females are a lot worse, and we'll talk about them later when we cover females. But Gemini men, they can be into that gossip, that two-faced stuff to a certain degree as well. Yeah, I'll go ahead and pass the mic now, Apollonia. I think I've ripped him enough.
Yeah, you ripped them a new one. And you covered a lot. I did want to add the fake tears and the fake crying. I've heard that numerous times from female friends that have dated Gemini men. When they get caught red-handed or with their hand in the cookie jar, they will turn on the waterworks. And it's so theatrical and fake that it's just hard to believe that they're actually sitting there trying to fake cry and, you know, gain sympathy when you've done some fuck shit. The second thing, if you're a Gemini guy and you're listening, just stop it with Scorpio women. Scorpios and Geminis usually come together because the sexual intensity is there. And that is because, you know, Gemini is on the 8th house cusp. So the sexual intensity is there for Scorpio women and Gemini men. But if you guys have a sexual fling, just leave it at that. I think that Scorpio women can tend to try to cage a Gemini man in, and then they kind of like beat their heads up against the wall when they can't actually do that. And it just causes a lot of craziness. Another thing about Gemini men, yes, they can tell elaborate tales. And me as a Cappy, I don't attract a lot of Gemini guys because I just give them the side eye, like, you really think I'm going to fall for that shit? Like, their lies and their stories and their schemes and their gift of gab, I'm like, wow, bitches are really falling for this? Like, it stuns me. It literally stuns me that chicks fall for the stuff that Gemini men say and do. Like, I would never fall for it. So the elaborate stories, the elaborate schemes, Gemini men definitely try to do this whole balling on a budget type of thing. They can be very cheap and frugal, and they can act like they are doing some major shit to try to impress you, and that shit is very lackluster. But chicks will be like, oh, yeah, girl. Even I just had a client recently, and she was like, oh, yeah, He lives downtown in this fat-ass penthouse, and it's just so nice. And he brought me over to his house, and he cooked me dinner, and we went and played pool in the clubhouse room of his apartment. And I was like, first of all, this is, maybe call me an old school Cappy, but the first date is not going to be at your fucking house. I don't care. That shit is just really, that's just really not what's happening. And if you're an adult person, I don't feel like your date should be at a man or a woman's house the first time you meet someone. That's just like taking things to a too comfortable level. But anyway, the moral of the story is I was like, first of all, that was very cheap. That's something a Gemini man would do is like, hey, I could just bring her to my house, and most of the time chicks are going to be cool with the fact that I live in this expensive-ass downtown apartment, so they probably will just want to fuck off the strength of that. And if we're playing pool in the clubhouse room of my nice apartment and we go to the gym of my nice apartment, they're just going to assume that I have more than what I have, when you know damn well those apartments downtown are like 3 stacks a month for no reason. And it's a whole whirlwind. Like, Gemini men can be very manipulative and try to paint this illusion, and then that shit all comes crashing down when you get to really know him as a person. I have had female friends date Gemini guys, and they will say, girl, everything he told me was a lie. This wasn't true. That wasn't true. I even had a female friend who she found out this guy's apartment was in a female's name that he used to fuck with. His car was in a female's name that he used to fuck with. His cell phone was in a female's name that he used to fuck with. And when she first got with him, his windows was bust out of his fucking car. And he told her, yeah, man, I was beefing with these dudes, and they just fucked up my car and keyed it and bust my window. And I'm looking at her like, niggas don't key cars and bust windows. A female did that. How could you even believe that story? Like, picture a group of dudes keying a car and busting windows. Come on now, son. Are you kidding me? Stop lying.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
So, yeah, the lies, the scandal, the deceit, and they do most things in the name of getting some pussy. That's like, and pardon my language, ladies, if you're listening, but a lot of Gemini men, they do things in the name of getting sex. It's like, I don't know if every chick they smash is like an invisible trophy in their minds, or it's like they're trying to, I don't know. And it could be the boredom, it could be the curiosity, it could be just something to do, but it's like they're always looking for the thrill of the hunt. Now, April touched on something about dreams, and Gemini men, whenever they deal with Scorpio women, the Scorpio woman finds out via her dreams. Now, if you guys know or if you're familiar with the song Still Dreaming by Nas and Kanye West, Kanye West has a verse in Nas's song, and I'm just going to read a little snippet of it. He says he pulled up at 6:30 in his 745 as he's waving his hand, saying hi to the chick, basically. You know he's showing his bling, Gemini shit, because the Gemini man will entice you with the material possessions, but then he'll turn around and say, I don't really want you to be trying to fuck with me for my money, or he tries to be cheap. But he will try to entice you with some bling or some material as things. She got in the car. He drove. He pulled his thing out. His girl called, feeling mad. She threw her ring out. How she found out, she dreamt the whole shit out. So she dreamt the whole thing out. So I said, Kanye had an experience with a Scorpio chick just for him to write that verse that she dreamt what he had done. And that's so on point, because every Scorpio friend I've had has had a dream about something that her Gemini man was doing. Now, lastly, before we go to the callers, because I think we covered the scandalous, the treacherous, and all of that, I had one date with the Gemini man that I can recall. I did have a thing for a May Gemini when I was growing up. I was like 17 and he was like 24, and I really, really liked him, but things wouldn't go any further because he was like, no, you're a jailbait. Your grandma is crazy. She'll definitely have me locked up. But I really liked him. But he definitely probably had some Taurus energy. But anyway, so this was when I was in my early 20s. I was still living in Texas. And this guy, he had his own business. He was a Gemini, had his own business, and he had like a few food trucks. He had like 3 or 4 food trucks. And I worked in this big corporate building in Texas, and his food truck would be downstairs, like, serving people breakfast, and I would see him all the time, and he was an older dude, but he looked young, and that's a thing with Gemini men. They always look young, or they're into young, jovial shit. So anyway, he was always stalking me, trying to holler at me, and one day I was like, man, what do you want? Because he brought me breakfast, and he brought me coffee, and I just stopped and talked to him for a bit, and he was like, I've been trying to take you out. Like, when you going to let me take you out? And at the time, I didn't ask him his birthday. I just asked him what's his sign, and he's like, he's a Gemini. And he said, well, what's your sign? And I said, I'm a Capricorn. And he was like, oh, shit, my ex-wife's a Capricorn. And I said, really? When's her birthday? And he said, December 26th. And I said, that's my birthday. And he was like, oh, fuck. And he was like getting all bent out of shape. And he was like, man, Capricorn females, y'all are some money-hungry ass chicks. Like, he started saying all this stuff. And I was like, well, you might as well just not talk to me now. And he was like, nah, I still want to take you out. You pretty. I still want to take you out. So whatever. Couple weeks down the line, we end up going out, and I met him at the restaurant. He picked the restaurant, and everything seemed pretty cool. So me being a Cappy, I will date a guy that's like between 40 and 44, but if a guy is doing some real old-ass people shit, like talking about his vows or shit like that, that's going to turn me off. So the first thing he did, he asked the waiter to bring him the newspaper. I was like, well, that's some old nigga shit. I really don't like that, but okay, maybe he wants to read the paper. So she brings the newspaper out, and we start looking at the menus or whatever. Strike one. He tells me to go light on what I order because his son's birthday is this weekend, and he's trying to watch his pockets. I was like, okay.
Wow.
He could have. That was some real cheap-ass Gemini shit. Now, you could have told me that, or you could have told me before the date that we could have went Dutch or whatever. You know, it's the first date. I don't mind buying my own shit, no problem. And he was like, nah, I don't mind paying for you. Just take it easy because it's my son's birthday. You know, I just want to get him some extra things. I was like, okay, whatever. So the date is going okay. He's reading the paper. Conversation is all right. So towards the end of the night, you know, we're laughing and giggling and shit like that. And I get a text message on my phone. And I'm looking at my phone and I'm reading it and I'm like, did you just text me? And he was like, no, why would I text you? And I'm reading the message and it's saying, yeah, are you home? Because I'm about to bring this thick little bitch back home, and I'm going to fuck her all over the house. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, girl, I just could not believe what I was reading. And I said, you just texted me. And I turned and showed him my phone, and I even forwarded him the message back, and he was like, oh, nah, see, that's my roommate, and he was asking me, was I home yet? Because he's about to bring this chick back home. No, you're telling your roommate that you're about to try to bring me home
Oh,
to
my
fuck me
God.
all over your house. And what made you think I was about to fuck you when, first of all, you told me to go light on the menu? And you really think you about to get some ass, though? Girl, I called the waiter over. And I ordered the most expensive drink off of that menu. I took a couple of sips. I proceeded to tell him I had to go to the bathroom, and I exit stage left out of the back door, and I went to my car. So he began blowing up my phone. Like, he was blowing up my phone back to back to back, and he was like, oh, he started texting me like, you didn't even have to leave me in here like that. And then he did one more old thing that I didn't like. He told the waitress to bring him a box for his chicken breast because he could scramble some eggs for that shit in the morning. I was like, oh, my God, this dude really sounds like a fucking pop-pop, and I am not dealing with this. Like, he literally said, oh, this chicken breast was good. I'm going to scramble some eggs with this in the morning. I was like, oh, my God, I can't. And then he actually sent me that message. I was mortified. He tried to lie and get out of it and tell me it was his roommate. No, it was you, and you thought that just because we were having a good time and I was laughing it up with you, that you were going to take me home. I wouldn't dare go home with you on the first night. I don't even know who you are. You could chop me up in little bitty pieces. But I have an Aquarius rising, so men tend to think that I'm flirting a lot when I'm really not. So, that was the one experience I've had with a Gemini guy on a date. But I've heard a lot of women, when they do date Gemini men, they feel pressured to have sex with them very early. He's the type of guy that will try to make you smash on the first date. And I'm just not that type of chick. Just not my cup of tea. So that was my one experience with them. And another thing, the last thing I wanted to add is that Gemini men can be followers, and I don't like that aspect about them as a Cappy. They can be followers, and they can be easily persuaded by their friends and peer pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So
True.
That's a turnoff to me as a Capricorn. I like men who are leaders, very strong-minded. So that type of thing really annoys me. But I think we can definitely open the phone lines. I hope Gemini is on the line because we want him to come on, our Cosmic Council member.
He sure is. I'm back into the dashboard now.
Okay, cool, great. So if he's on, could you open his line before we take a couple callers?
Yeah, I sure will. Hold on. I remembered one last little thing, and I'll talk fast like a Gemini.
Oh, okay, sure.
A lot of Gemini men, I'm sorry to say this, but they are horrible with money because their minds move so quickly, and they just kind of go here, go there. They lose track of stuff. They're bad with money, and they always owe people money because they're always making bets with people. Oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying. And I'll get you. Or like somebody will buy them lunch. Hey, can you cover me today because I forgot my lunch or whatever? Yeah, I'll get you back next week. No, they won't. They'll forget. And then when they're confronted with the money they owed, it'll be like, oh, well, you see what happened was like your home dude. Yeah, but you see, it's my baby's birthday, and you know what I mean? Some manipulative BS answer to get out of paying. And a lot of them end up ducking and dodging people so much that they always have somebody pissed at them about owing money. I've dated a Gemini man like that before where as a Scorpio, hey, I would always check in his phone, and I always would see messages from dudes. Hey, what's up with that money you owe me? Like, I thought we were cool. And I'm like, pay this ninja. Oh my gosh! How do you owe this man money? Just pay him his $15. Jeez. Yeah. So. Yeah. I'll pay you back. I'll pay you. Yeah. No, they're not gonna pay you shit. So that was it. Gemini Brown, we'd like to bring you on to plead your case. So I'm gonna open up your line.
Gemini, we still love you, brother. You know we still love you, but we had to really keep it 100.
It's all good. You know, I've been a Gemini for 25 years, and I heard it all. So, damn. Okay. So I don't know. Okay, if I can refute one thing, I will say this. The last thing April just said. It may depend on keeping in mind all the energy in the chart, but I don't know Gemini for being bad with money. I don't know about them being bad with money. Mercury is about management, and I guess you would have to look more at the Mercury, also the moon. But I don't know Gemini. I agree with App though that some of them ball on a budget I'm going to talk about one of their bad qualities being superficiality, and it leads to them trying to ball on a budget. But yeah, I don't necessarily think they're bad with money, but definitely sometimes follow the wave too much, and just to, bring it into one big umbrella there, they could be superficial, because Mercury is logic, and I like to call it our worldly intelligence. Mercury is like, I'm trying to organize everything. I want to experience and communicate and socialize and just have fun out here, right? And that can lead to a closed-off perspective. So I've seen that, like, with Geminis, especially when, like, Mercury is, like, in a sign like maybe Taurus, a very earthy sign, and then, say, Venus is in Gemini. Oh, my God. That for the guy, that's a guy who's like, I got to have a supermodel. And even if it's not, and this is another bad quality, they can try to mold. This is a very unevolved trait, to try to mold the person and be like them. Naturally, one of the good qualities is that you'll learn something from being around Gemini. You'll be able to pick up on some things, right? But if they try to force, and they'll try to make you something that you are not, and that extends from the point of being, like, very superficial. So especially with the guys, right? With the guys, if you're dating them, ladies, oh my God! Not only do you have to be sharp mentally, but you're gonna have to have the hair done. Oh, and hands. Gemini rules the hands. So, like, especially if a guy has a Mars in Gemini, even a Venus, he's gonna want her hands to look nice. Get your nails done, things like that. But if I could drop a secret about Gemini is, although, like, if they are capable of loyalty, they are capable of commitment. But and this is where the air triad comes in. I think, whatever energy we're trying to bring into it there has to be those other air signs to balance it out. That Libra, that Aquarius, that person has to have that some type of airy mentality, right? But what I've seen is that the Scorpio, the thing with Scorpio is truly magnetic, and it's something that it's like disaster waiting to happen. It's gonna have its good period, where the sex is good, but when Scorpio's like, are you mine or are you mine? Gemini's like, I think it's time for me to go. So, but when you look at it in an evolved sense, if each person, and this is things I tell people when I counsel them, you meet people at the right time, right? So say you meet someone with this Gemini energy when you're 35. you're liable to have a lot better time with this person than if you were younger and you were you didn't know yourself. You yourself may have been too possessive. So I think one of the lessons that Gemini teaches is detachment, or non-possessiveness. It teaches people try to have a relationship where you can have your own skills, and Gemini is good for that. Like you say, you can go out and do things with them. So with being with the Gemini, you're gonna learn something. You're gonna learn new things, and you're going to try new things because of their curiosity. So that's something that's really good. So I feel like one thing Gemini teaches people is to detach a little bit. Let's have a fun relationship where where we can keep jealousy out of it. So the thing with Scorpio is it's very, very interesting to me, but it never fails. It never fails.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, very
Excuse
true.
me, I'm sorry.
And the superficial thing you were right about. That's another thing that turns me off.
Extremely.
And I have dated a Gemini guy was that the conversation can be very surface level and superficial. It's as if they really don't want to go too deep. I even had a Gemini guy tell me, and we didn't even make it past a phone conversation because I kind of pre-screen a guy on the phone. He literally said, I don't like to think too deeply. I don't like where it takes me. I don't like to think too deeply. And I was like, you're probably not the person that wants to talk to me. So that's very true with them being superficial.
Yeah, what I usually got when I was dating and single and met Gemini guys is, they text me, hi, how are you? And I text them back, for real, hi, I'm good, this and that. They're like, how's your day? I would tell them about my day, this big old long text, and then they wouldn't really read it, or they would, not really message me back, or they would send me back, one or two words, and I'm like, did you not read? They don't really, if you send them, a big old long book of a message or something, they're not going to be able to read it all. Their brains can't catch all that. They're like, well, I read half of it. You write them a long letter. Well, I read the first two lines, but girl, just take me back.
Ladies, you know what? I wanted to offer some advice to any
please,
ladies out there listening. Yeah, right. Okay. So, astrologically, right, if we're looking in the chart-wise, you're like, all right, I got his chart. What am I looking for? Okay. Because it's hard to say. It's going to be fun if his Gemini energy ends up in your 12th, ends up in your 8th, it could be some fun. However, just know that something is going to be some type of obstacle or of course, we know the 8th house is the house of secrets. It's the house, of sex, right? And then 12th house is the house of secrets as well, and more so affairs and things like that. So keep in mind if, that his Gemini energy creeps into those houses. The next thing you want to look for is the contact to Mercury. Now, this is big for, compatibility, because one of the secrets with Gemini and how he can be faithful is that you have to keep his mind stimulated. You have to keep I don't want to say keep up, but essentially it kind of is keep up. If he or her wants to learn and try new things, I feel from my experience, if there's a willing partner, if the partner is willing and as adventurous, why would I go get someone new, when I can try new things with someone I built chemistry with? So I feel like it's more so a secret. The thing is just really about knowing how to, because Gemini, like you said, is charming, so they know how to entertain. I guess I don't know, maybe they don't get entertained back. But it's possible. I don't think it's impossible. I strongly feel like Gemini can be. Well, yeah.
Should a woman buy some wigs and stuff? I mean, because I have a homegirl dating a guy with Gemini energy, and she buys wigs and different lingerie draws and stuff, and like, you know.
Yeah,
that's how
like
she,
shit.
that's
Like,
how she says works for them.
Right. Is there anything?
Yeah.
If that's what it takes, I don't. You know, if she thinks that's cool and she knows that entices him, hell yeah, go for it. You know, take for a person. You know, me personally, I have my Venus and my Mars in Leo, and yeah, like I like a woman to look good. You know, like we can have, you know, sex and all of that, but like on the day-to-day when we're just talking, it's nice to just look at the person and be like, yeah, you look good, and or, you know, it's something different about you today. And Gemini will notice that. That's another thing I would say. They're very attentive. They notice things, and they say what needs to be said. They say what needs to be said. So, like I was saying before, the Mercury contacts are very, very important as far as like compatibility, the communication, you know, the learning and things like that. So that's important. And then, you know, for like relationship wise, looking at the Venus. So other thing I wanted to add, Gemini and water. Okay, I don't see that as something that really goes well. I guess if a planet is there and it's aspected well, it can mesh well with the type of Gemini energy. But say you have a Gemini sun with a stellium in water, oh man, that's not a fun partner. Because remember, water signs themselves are moody, and then the Gemini sign, which is dualist in nature, I've just seen those to be like a really crabby people. I definitely wouldn't really. Seriously, like especially, you know, a Gemini sun with a Cancer moon. Wow, that is a very demanding partner. Man or woman, that is a very demanding partner.
I'm with a Cancer sun and Mercury, and he has a Gemini moon and Venus, so I know all about that moody stuff.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like
let's bow our heads and pray for April, because God knows, that's a hard combo, Gemini and Cancer together in general.
It really is. Like I wanted to say, like I feel like it's certain, because one thing with Earth, and remember, we at the deeper level of astrology, it's a lot other planets, and that talks about stellium. So say we have, for myself, I have, you know, Gemini sun, Mercury in Gemini as well. Then I have a Virgo moon, which is Earth, and then I have non-personal planets with my North Node in Capricorn, Uranus and Neptune with my North Node in Capricorn. And as I progress on my spiritual journey, I feel like I've become a lot more earthy. And I feel very much so, like, not like as airy as I was. You know, airy as I was. And I feel like when looking at it, you really should look at, you know, combinations and things. So say you have a Leo sun with a Gemini stellium. That, for a man, I don't know what kind of woman that would take to. I don't think that person could be saying, I don't know. You know, so you want to really assess the energy and know what you're looking at. Don't let the Gemini sun or the Gemini moon, you know, cloud what you're seeing. Really look at that chart. And then absent another good thing where I think it extends way past beyond just Gemini, but, you know, how the chart plays out in general. Certain people, you'll get to know them on all different types of levels. For instance, say you have someone with a fourth house sun, regardless of sign, and they may have something like Mercury in the ascendant. You guys said, you know, those Mercury in the first people come off quite Gemini-like, right? You don't, the fourth house sun person only really shows themselves to those they really get close to in that way in which they would consider like family. So you may, you know them, you know, get to know that person on a deeper level, the more they let you in. So overall, I think that's a good point. As like somebody may talk a good game, but then when you get to know them, or that Saturn part comes in, that where you gotta be committed and disciplined for it, you see things start to unravel.
Word.
Yeah.
Well,
and I did want to add that I had a friend who dated a Gemini man. She was engaged to a Gemini guy, and I think I told you guys this before. He required that she come to bed in full get-up, like makeup.
Wow.
She could not
Prince?
wear a bonnet
Was
to
that
bed.
You,
She couldn't wear a bonnet to bed. She couldn't wear like a T-shirt or none of that. Like, she had to look like she looked when he met her all the time, or better. Like, he didn't like rollers in her hair or any of that.
I've heard that about Prince, another fellow Gemini. Yeah, Prince is very very much like that.
We could do a whole show on Prince. We could do a whole show.
Yeah, I heard some new stuff about him. Yeah.
Yeah, my bad, guys. We only have 2 minutes left of the show, so I didn't mean to butt in.
Oh no, we could do a part 2 on Gemini men because
it's crazy.
We may have to.
Right. The next thing I just want to say in general, we can say this about mutable signs, all the mutable signs in general. I look at the mutable signs as signs as extremes, right? So with Gemini, right, like when you find a quote unquote good Gemini, or if you just keep them as friends, because that's what at the end of the day, they may not be good lovers, but they'll always be good friends, I believe. You'll really, really like them. But when you really, really hate them, oh my God, it's crazy. And like I said, I've seen so many stories between people, Geminis and Scorpios, and it gets chaotic. It's some crazy shit. It's some real crazy shit you could write movies and stories about. But yeah, you could talk about Gemini.
Most definitely. Maybe we will have to do a part 2. We still have a couple callers waiting. I think Rabina. 90 seconds left. I think Rubino was calling in too. So thank you for your input, Gemini Brown. We really needed that from a Gemini man during this show. Explaining yourself. Giving some pointers. That was awesome. Thank you so much for doing that.
No problem.
So
I appreciate the truth check. No hard feelings. It's a truth check.
All right,
yeah, we may have to do a part 2 because we didn't get to our callers, but we appreciate you guys for coming through and listening, and hit us up on our comments page on our Facebook page if you've had some Gemini experiences. Let us know. We would definitely love to hear about it, but we'll play with the idea of doing a part 2 for our Gemini crew.
Yeah. All right, guys. So, follow us on Facebook, on Instagram. Follow us here on Blog Talk Radio. You can get updates on all of our bi-weekly shows on any of those outlets. You can find me on YouTube and Facebook, Pisces Moon Goddess. Apollonia is under the Astrology Lady. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks for the good, the bad, and the scandalous of a Capricorn man. All right. Peace out, everybody.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Peace.